Wiretaps, secret meetings, code words. It was all part of the case against famed Mississippi trial lawyer Dickie Scruggs, who pled guilty earlier this month to bribing a state judge. But Scruggs, best known for his role in bringing down big tobacco and portrayed in the movie The Insider, isn't the only trial lawyer headed to prison these days. Kim, Dickie Scruggs, you've written about him and some of his lawsuits. Why should the Americans care if he's a crook?
Because Dickie Scruggs is the personification of big billionaire trial lawyers. These are guys who have made into an art manufacturing lawsuits, bringing in hundreds of thousands of clients in them, teaming up with state attorney generals so that they can get more attention to their cases and push companies into settlements. The fact that we now know he was doing dirty business means that there should be a more skeptical eye placed on a lot of these trial lawyers across the country who are involved in the same kind of racket.
And these were tobacco, asbestos. This is not to say that some of these cases weren't justifiable wrongs, but they turned into the mass tort suits with tens and hundreds of thousands of plaintiffs.
That's right.
People hear the term tort reform and their eyes sort of glaze over. What we're really talking about with tort reform here is lawsuit abuse. The attempts of some people to use our civil justice system to pretty much redistribute wealth in America. And what that does is crowd out legitimate claims. You're right, there are some legitimate claims mixed in here, but these guys are turning this into a big business. And it's an important issue for us because lawsuit abuse affects the business climate of cities and states and even our nation, which means it affects the competitiveness of the marketplace. It redounds down to consumers and prices, and it's important.
There's another group of lawyers, Dan, that were in the dock now and pled guilty, Mel Weiss and Bill LaRock, formerly of the Milberg Weiss law firm, which pioneered another kind of lawsuit abuse called the strike suit against corporations. How did that work?
Well, when there were fluctuations in the share price of corporations, they often blamed it on the companies not divulging information to the marketplace, and they would file class action suits on behalf of shareholders.
And claim fraud.
You know how much money Milberg Weiss pulled out of that industry over the time it was in $45 billion. That is a tremendous amount of money. That was transferred from the private sector, where it could have gone to things like developing technologies, pharmaceuticals. I mean, these are like...
But suits in the name of shareholders cost shareholders the money.
Absolutely.
And the lawyers got the bulk of the loot.
Yeah, and this is this textbook definition of abuse, because they were simply making an industry out of this sort of
and now
lawsuit.
we find out, Kim, that these suits, in fact, because of these prosecutions, that these suits were in fact manufactured because the lead plaintiffs actually got kickbacks for becoming the plaintiffs.
Yeah, they got paid to do this.
Right.
I mean, which is just the whole wrong way around in the justice system. But
no kidding.
Dan used the correct word here, industry. The thing that's most amazing is that we have to explain who these people are out there. If this were the guys up at the top of Enron or WorldCom or any of these people that had kind of perpetrated frauds, this was all the discussion in Washington and the newspapers. These guys are crooks.
Yeah.
There hasn't been as much about it.
Yeah, Kim's right. There's a political point to make here. Democrats are always talking about executive pay and the little guy. But here you had these trial lawyers turning themselves into mega millionaires, and the people they were supposedly representing got a pittance of the pay. The silence on the left is deafening here.
But will there be anything to come out of this, given these prosecutions? Because you're talking about a series of these prosecutions by the biggest names. As Kim says, this would be like the CEOs of General Electric and and General Motors and the biggest corporations in America, all at the same time being proven to be criminals.
Yeah, it does nothing too much about the industry, which we should quickly point out, it has a political element. There are now at least 80 bills in over 24 states around the country to pare back tort reforms, so that the lawyers can, in conjunction with a lot of the politicians in these legislatures, keep this game going, because they give money to those politicians. And let's be honest about it, it's mostly the Democratic Party.
Yeah, there are some Republicans, but the Senate in the United States in particular is pretty much a wholly owned subsidiary of the trial lawyers lobby. And I don't think that's an exaggeration. They are more powerful than NRA or any other lobby in America. All right, we have to take one more break. When we come back, our hits and misses of the week.